So for those of us that have embraced the meme, one of the main selling points of Arch and Arch-based systems is something called the Arch User Repository, or the AUR. I'm going to go over how to use the AUR, but first I want to go over what is the AUR. So the Arch User Repository is a community-driven repo or repository of software that normally isn't available in the standard repos. Now, when you use the AUR, you may notice that when you search for a certain kind of package, there might be multiples of them. So for example, if you search for Brave, there's Brave and then Brave-bin. Personally, I like to just go with the bin, or in this case, binary, which means it's already built and you only need to install it. Usually if it doesn't have a -bin at the end, that usually means you're going to be compiling it from source, which there's nothing wrong with that. It just can take longer depending on your system, depending on your CPU. So do keep that in mind. Okay, so this is the AUR. Over on the top right is where you would go ahead and search for a particular package or program. Let's say we want to install Chrome. Now I like to usually sort by last updated. That way I can see which packages are the most up to date. Another decent indicator is the votes and the popularity of a particular package. Usually if there's a lot more eyes on it, it usually means it's a good working package. Or if there's a lot more eyes on it, that means if something does go wrong, that usually somebody will reply with, either something is wrong with it or how to fix it, something along those lines. Now, before we can do anything with this page, we have to do something else first. This is honestly something we should have started with from the beginning, but hey, I don't really script this stuff. I just kind of go off the cuff, off the top of my head. Sudo pacman-s. So sudo, I have no idea how to pronounce the damn thing. I like calling it sudo. Reminds me of Sudowoodo, like the Pokemon, but whatever. Sudo is administrator privileges, essentially. Anytime you're going to do something really important to your system, or update or install or anything like that, you need sudo. Pacman is the package manager for Arch. And then -s is what you would put when you want to install something. So it would be -s space whatever you want to install. Now, if you wanted to search, you could put another s, a lowercase s, and then space whatever package you wanted to look for to see if it would be in the repos. And then if you want it to clear, you just type clear, and that'll clear everything up. The things we're going to install is going to be Git and base devil. So you can actually install multiple things by just having a space between each of the applications that you want to install. A nice tip, and I picked this up off of one of Mental Outlaw's videos, is that if you don't plan on using a helper and you just want to install things manually from the AUR, like maybe you're not going to be using a lot of different packages from the AUR. If you feel that you don't need a helper or you don't need Yay, then you can make a Git folder. That way anything that you do download from the AUR goes into that folder instead of bloating your home folder. Now, if you could do this in your file manager, but if you just want to do it through the terminal, you could type mkdir or make directory. So remember, directories, folder. Directories is Linux version of folders. So you could type mkdir or mkdir space the name of the folder, which in this case I'm going to name it Git. Now it already exists, so it's going to give you an error saying that it can't create. So now, since it already exists, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change directory or CD into Git. So here I'll type Git space clone, which essentially is kind of like what it's going to do is it's going to download and put it into that directory. Now what we need to do is we need to go back to the AUR, click on the URL, and then you're going to paste it in the terminal. Now to do that, you have to hold Control Shift V, not just Control V like in Windows, it's Control Shift V. So there should be a new folder in the Git directory, right? It should be Google-Chrome. Now, how do we do that in the terminal? Like I said, you could look and you can create folders through your file manager, but it makes no sense to go back and forth when we're going to be using the terminal. We want to list what's in there. So how do we do that? We do ls. So there it is, Google Chrome. So what we're going to do now is we're going to change directory into the Google Chrome directory. So I'll go ahead and clear it up just to make it a little neater. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you two different ways of doing this. I'm going to show you how to manually install without a helper, like Yay. And then I'm going to show you the difference between manually installing things and then using Yay. So now once you're in the Google Chrome directory, what you're going to do is you're going to type make package. All right, you remember it like that, make package. Now you could do just this and then install it through Pacman, but I like to do it this way where I type everything all in one command, and it does everything all at once. Now, this is the way that works for me. There's multiple ways of doing this, but this works for me, and I hope it works for you as well. So to do that, we're going to put -sri at the end. Now, whenever you want to know what something does or something means, you could usually just type MAN, which is like manual. So you want to look at the manual for a particular command, you type MAN space and then the command. So for example, we're going to do MAN space make package. Okay, so -s is going to be to sync and download and install any dependencies that the program needs. -r would be to remove the dependencies once it's done, you know. And then I is install. So it's going to do all of that in one go, in one command. Now, once it's done being compiled or built, it's going to actually be installed by Pacman. Now, I'm not going to install it. I don't want Chrome. I already have Brave. I'm content with it. So I'm not going to continue with the installation because I don't want Google Chrome on here. I don't really need it. So next up is I'm going to show you a much easier way of doing this. I'm going to show you how to do this with Yay. Now, I'm not on base Arch. I'm on a derivative. Yay is not in the repo for my distribution. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, you can correct me in the comments if you like. But I think Yay is in the repos for the normal Arch distribution. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% certain. Now, if it's not in the repos, you could just simply install it the same way I showed you how to install Google Chrome just now. You'd go to the AUR, you would search for Yay. So as I said previously, you know, you can either go with the -bin, which is the binary or the pre-compiled one, which installs faster and updates faster, or you can go with the source and just compile it yourself. Like I said, it's up to you. So we'll copy that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to move up one directory. The way to move up a directory is you type cd, change directory, and then put ... and then that'll move you up one directory. Now, if you just want to go to your home directory, right, all you got to do is type cd, and it doesn't matter where you are, it'll send you straight to your home directory. Let's say we want to go ahead and install Yay. We'll go ahead and put git space clone, and we'll go ahead and we'll put in the link for Yay. Once you have Yay, a really cool thing that you could do with it is actually just update your system. And it won't only just update the packages from the AUR, but it'll also update your entire system the same way that Pacman would. So normally you'd have to type sudo pacman -syu, but instead what we're going to do is just type Yay with the same syntax. No sudo needed. Now in my case, it's not going to update anything because I'm already up to date. Almost forgot the actual installation process. Now if you want to install something, right, but in this case, well, so the syntax here is Yay -s for install and then Yay. Now you can download Brave through the AUR or Chrome or whatever. So we'll go ahead and we'll do Yay. What works for me, all right, is that for the first option I pick installed, I. And then on the next one, I put N. And then now Pacman is going to want to install it. And that's it. It just reinstalled my Yay. That's pretty much all there is to it. I hope Memow and I were able to help you out. I have a few other videos like how to make a bootable drive or the basics of Linux Man. Or if you're watching this and you're not on Linux, you could check out the Should You Try Out Linux video. Aside from that, hope to see you in the next video. Have a good one.